It's been 1 year since Hamas, the Iranian-backed terrorists, invaded Israel and brutally murdered more than 1,200 innocent people, including 40 Americans, while taking hundreds more hostage. The ripple effect of that attack are still shaking the world, and the consequences continue to unfold both abroad and here at home. In Gaza, Israel remains steadfast in its fight to eliminate the terror threats at its borders, with more than 40,000 lives lost in the conflict. Meanwhile, a second front has opened in Lebanon, where Hezbollah, another Iranian proxy, faces off against Israeli forces. Now, this conflict has not only taken lives, but also divided Americans, sparking a dangerous rise in anti-Semitism across our country. The battle for the Middle East feels far away in distance, but its reverberations reach all the way to our constitutional republic, threatening to tear at our fabric of who we are. Now, I won't pretend to have any solutions, any easy solutions for the complex issues of the Middle East, but there is one undeniable fact. The region was far more stable just a few years ago, under Donald Trump's leadership. Iran was isolated, and efforts to neuter their influence politically and financially were making real progress. With his administration's focus on strength, deterrence, and diplomacy, we witnessed historic peace deals in a region itching towards stability. But since Joe Biden and Kamala Harris reversed many of those critical policies, things have steadily unraveled. Iran's influence is resurging. Terror proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah are emboldened, and now we're witnessing the horrific consequences of that shift in leadership. Now, just a side note, it's not anti-Semitism to state that some of the actions by the Jewish leadership you don't agree with, that some things are harsh. I've criticized things as well. I also doesn't mean I prefer the Palestinians or the Iranians or any other the Muslims. I just know that personally this is a war that's been going on for a very long time, a biblical war. So what can we do? So what happens next? What will another 4 years of this approach bring us? Will it lead us to more chaos, more instability, and more threats to both our allies and our national security? Or we will see a return to a policy of strength, one that prioritizes peace through power, just like we saw under Donald Trump. It's time to ask ourselves what kind of future we want, both here and abroad. This leads us to our top story, a testimony of the resilience and leadership of the American spirit. Donald Trump returned to Butler, Pennsylvania to finish a speech he never got to complete. But this is not just any rally, and Trump is not just any leader. He's a man who survived an assassination attempt, and now, actually two. And now he's back to deliver on the promise he made to the people of Butler, reminding us that in America, we don't back down as in the face of evil. We'll be right back. I think it's time for us to go right.
Back here, Mr. President.
Welcome to hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin, where we cut through the noise, shift through the misinformation, and bring you the facts that matter most to our constitutional republic. Here we stand firm in defending liberty, upholding the truth, and ensuring that we, the people, are always informed and empowered. I'm your host, Peter Boykin, a constitutionalist for liberty, and in this podcast, we dive into the stories shaping our nation, keeping you updated on what's happening across America and around the world. Whether it's politics, policy, or the latest headlines, we're here to give you the straight talk you deserve, with a clear viewpoint rooted in constitutional principles, and yes, with a strong, moderate, and conservative Republican perspective. Let's stand united and informed and ready to go right. Imagine surviving a near-death experience and then walking back into that very same arena where your life nearly ended. That's exactly what happened when Donald Trump returned to Butler, Pennsylvania. It's the kind of story that defines resilience and American determination. And our constitutional republic thrives on the bravery of its leaders, even in the face of danger. Let's talk about Donald Trump. He returns to Butler after his assassination attempt. Our top story focused on Donald Trump's return to Butler, Pennsylvania, following a narrowing assassination attempt during a rally that left one man dead. Just months ago, Trump narrowly escaped death when an assassin perched on a nearby roof took aim at him, only to miss by mere inches, hitting his ear. Tragically, Corey Compertor, a former fire chief, sacrificed his life by shielding his family from the sniper's bullets. Trump vowed to return to Butler, and return he did, with a renewed sense of purpose. At the rally, over 100,000 attendees had gathered to witness his triumphant comeback, with millions tuning in online. The stage was set in Lee Greenwood's live performance of God Bless America, God Bless the USA, added to the patriotic fervor. When Trump stepped on stage, he began his speech with a nod to that fateful day, quipping, "As I was saying," his ability to remain poised in the face of danger shows the tendency of a leader committed to his cause. Now, Corey Compertor's heroic legacy, one of the most, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing his name, one of the most emotional moments of the event came when Trump paid tribute to the fallen hero Corey. Trump highlighted Corey's courage, saying, quote, "Every father and husband in America hopes that if the time came, we would have what Corey had, tremendous courage, tremendous guts." His words sparked chants of Corey, Corey, Corey throughout the crowd, a powerful testament to the honor of those who risk everything for their loved ones. Moving on, Elon Musk joined the rally. Perhaps the biggest surprise of the day was the appearance of Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, and X, formerly Twitter. Musk took the stage alongside Trump, donning a Make America Great Again hat. Well, as he called it, Black MAGA. Musk has become a vocal supporter of Trump after the attempted assassination, stating, quote, "The true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire." And Musk's presence electrified the crowd, and he stressed the importance of the upcoming election, urging people to register to vote, calling it, quote, "the most important election in our lifetime." Now, Trump's rally highlighted policy. Donald Trump also laid out his vision for the country, touching on key issues such as the economy, illegal immigration, and energy independence. His remarks emphasized the decline seen under the Biden-Harris administration, particularly in regard to manufacturing and fracking, which are crucial for states like Pennsylvania. Trump's rally was a stark contrast to the struggles of the current administration, with polls showing a tight race between Trump and Kamala Harris, now at 48.2% tie. Still can't understand why anybody would vote for Kamala, but moving on. Elon Musk's involvement, along with the size of the rally, gives Trump a renewed edge in Pennsylvania. Following the event, betting markets began to favor Trump over Harris for winning the state, demonstrating the powerful impact of his presence in the area. Now, Trump addressed safety concerns. Despite the recent assassination attempt, Trump expressed his unwavering commitment to the people of Pennsylvania, saying, quote, "I feel we have an obligation to go back to Butler. We never finished what we were supposed to do." And he also voiced concerns about security at his rallies, pointing out that while he respects the Secret Service, the White House response has been lacking. Trump's courage to return to Butler, knowing the risks, showcased his dedication to his supporters and his mission to make America great again. We'll be right back with more Go Right news.
Kamala Harris's media blitz is already bombing. 60 Minutes just grilled her on immigration. She had nothing. Watch.
There was an historic flood of undocumented immigrants coming across the border the first 3 years of your administration. Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem. And solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
What I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem, okay?
But the numbers did quadruple.
She had nothing. Then this happened.
You are a gun owner. So what kind of gun do you own, and when and why did you get it?
I have a Glock, and I've had it for quite some time. And I mean, look, Bill, my background is in law enforcement. And so there you go.
Have you ever fired it?
Yes. Of course I have. At a shooting range. Yes, of course I have.
Not sure what's so funny about that, but...
Imagine this. You're at an airport getting ready to board a flight with your family. As you're going through security, you realize the guy standing next to you, who you've never seen before, doesn't have any identification. Not only that, but he's allowed to board the flight, bypassing the same protocols that every law-abiding citizen follows. This is not fiction. This is happening under the Biden-Harris administration, and it's a direct result of the irresponsible border policies that continue to undermine the security of our constitutional republic. Welcome back to #GoRight with Peter Boykin, where we break down the critical issues that are shaping our country with a focus on liberty and the Constitution. Today, we're going to continue by diving into two critical-ish headlines. The shocking findings of a DHS internal watchdog report on Biden-Harris's border policies and the growing criticism of the federal government's response to the devastation caused by Hurricane Helene. Let's get started. So, internal watchdog finds Biden-Harris did not fully assess border policy risks. A damning report from the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General has laid bare the negligence of the Biden-Harris administration in handling the security of our borders. This isn't just a political talking point. It's a reality that affects every American. The facts. The report exposes that the administration, quote, did not fully assess the risks of releasing illegal aliens without identification and allowing them to board domestic flights. The DHS agencies, including CBP, ICE, and TSA, failed to assess the inherent dangers in these practices. Now, here's the most shocking part. Illegal aliens were allowed to fly without proper identification, bypassing standard TSA protocols. Now, let that sink in for our moment. The same TSA that makes you take off your shoes and go through security screenings is letting people board the planes without even knowing who they are. Yeah. The TSA used to know what they called a self-certified identity process, which means an individual could just declare who they are. And that was enough for the Biden administration. I mean, could I get on the plane and I identify as the King of England? The Inspector General called out that DHS for this, stating they cannot ensure high-risk non-citizens aren't posing a threat to the flying public. Perhaps the most concerning part is that CBP and ICE couldn't even provide data on how many individuals without ID were released into the U.S. between 2021 and 2023. We're not talking about a few people here. Since Biden and Kamala took office, 382 individuals on the terror watch list have crossed the southern border, 100 of them just in 2024. This is a massive national security failure, and the DHS watchdog made it clear if CBP and ICE continue to allow unidentified non-citizens into the country, they may increase national security risks. And that's not just an opinion, it's a fact. Let's not forget the role of the CBP One app in this crisis. You know, that one that they talked about in that vice presidential debate? That app, which allows foreigners to claim asylum over the phone, admits about 1,500 people into the country every single day. And just recently, in the last month or so, we saw the consequences when Tajik nationals, Tajik nationals, some with ties to ISIS, planned an attack on an LGBTQ establishment in Philadelphia after entering through this app. Yet the part of the report detailing the risks of this app was redacted. What are they hiding from the American people? I mean, imagine 9/11. You know, just type into the app. Boop, 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 boop. Get on a plane, no problem. Boop, 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 boop. Don't check anything. Boop, 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 boop. Enter the United States. Boop, boop, boop. Fly into the Twin Towers. Yeah, we're setting ourselves up for disaster. Federal government criticized for inaction after. Well, you know, let's move on to the next story. I mean, that's concerning and everything. But right now, we've got a national disaster that's been going on. We've talked about this a lot. The federal government has been criticized for the inaction after Hurricane Helene. Let's shift gears to the catastrophic effects of Hurricane Helene. It's been a full week or so or more since the storm devastated parts of Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, here North Carolina for me, Tennessee, and Virginia. As the death toll rises to over 230 people, probably way more than that, and countless others are still missing, the federal government is facing mounting criticism for its slow and inadequate response. Here's the facts, folks. Millions of people lost power and essential services, and thousands of families are still living without basic utilities, probably not even a place to go home. Yet FEMA and Biden administration have been bogged down in red tape, preventing much needed aid from reaching these devastated communities. Now in Florida, FEMA actually blocked residents from removing debris from their properties, prompting Governor Ron DeSantis to mobilize state assets to expedite the cleanup efforts. It reminds me of 2018, we had a tornado that came through Greensboro in my section. I was running for office, and I went to one of the biggest neighborhoods devastated, and they couldn't move anything or do anything as they waited for somebody to come along, and they had to wait for insurance. Meanwhile, their bloomers are in the trees. You know, their whole stories, their house went out. Luckily, it was on a Sunday. Most people were at church. They were there. I don't think anybody actually got killed. I think one person got killed. And that was just sad. They were in an intersection, and I think a tree fell. Meanwhile, North Carolina, here in North Carolina where I live, was particularly hit hard, with 75,000 people still without power. Yet one small Appalachian town devastated by the storm has yet to see any FEMA assistance. This is a clear failure of leadership at the federal level. Meanwhile, Elon Musk has been trying to use his SpaceX technology to deliver aid, shared on social media that FEMA was actively blocking his engineers from bringing in internet terminals to help restore communication in North Carolina. He said, and I quote, FEMA is not merely failing to adequately help people in trouble, but is actively blocking citizens who try to help. This is a government incompetence at its worst. Now, I'm going to mention right away that on TV here, it's like miscommunication. There's an argument online. They're saying that, they're always saying the people on the right are miscommunicating, or spreading rumors, or spreading lies. This isn't going on. That's not going on. I don't know, folks. I look at it as these are the same people who told us to take vaccines, that you'll be all right, and to do this and that, and you'll be all right. And then a few years later when we find out, oh, well, we were wrong. I don't know. I mean, I've said this before. Ronald Reagan said the worst thing the government can tell you is, hey, I'm from the government. I'm here to help. Well, they're turning away people who are trying to help. We talked about that in the past. Now, there's a failure in leadership. At the helm of the federal response are key figures like Kamala Harris, who sat down for a lighthearted interview on Call Her Daddy, the Call Her Daddy podcast, while millions were suffering. Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, who oversees FEMA, was seen shopping at a luxury clothing store while Americans were left waiting for help. This is not just poor optics. It's a dereliction of duty. Now, how can you help? While the federal government is dropping the ball, there are ways we, the people, can step up. I encourage you to donate to organizations like Samaritan's Purse, a Christian organization that has been delivering supplies across the 6 states affected by the storm. President Trump's authorized fundraiser has also raised nearly now $7 million to support hand-picked charities on the ground. And for those of you in North Carolina, like where I'm at, where the damage is most severe, I urge you to call Governor Roy Cooper's office and demand action. He's a Democrat, regardless, Democrat, Republican, whatever. Call out Governor Roy Cooper's office, demand action. Rural areas, especially in western North Carolina, have been hit hardest, and they need your voice to bring aid where it's most needed. You can call Roy Cooper, and his number is 919-814-2000. 919-814-2000. If it goes to voicemail, you can submit a contact form, and I'll have that listed on the website under this article on GoRightNews.com. It seems that most of the persistent issues are coming from western North Carolina, where roughly half of the storm's fatalities occurred. So I would encourage you to make your voices heard and call Governor Roy Cooper's office directly. Ask what he's doing to get aid to the rural western part of the state. We'll be right back with a hashtag GoRight recap.
In a town called Butler, banners are high, with flags waving proudly beneath the blue sky. People gather together, united and strong, in this land of freedom where we all belong. Let's rally for America, stand up and be heard. With the spirit of our nation, let's spread the word from the hills to the valleys. We're raising our voice with Go Right News guided. Let's make our choice. Elon Musk's in the crowd, bringing hope for the fight. Innovating the future, lighting up the night. Donald Trump's on the stage, calling us to rise for the constitutionalists. We're reaching for the skies. Let's rally for America. Let's rally for America. Hear the freedom ring. With a heart full of courage, we've got everything. In this great republic, we'll make our stand. Together for our future, hand in hand. But behind the cheers, there's a story untold. Hurricane Helene struck, left hearts feeling cold. FEMA's slow response left towns in despair. But the strength of our people shows how much we care. Let's rally for America, rebuild what was lost. With faith in our neighbor will pay any cost. From the ashes we rise with love in our hearts. For a brighter tomorrow, we'll all play our parts. A call to the patriots, the ones who believe in the land of the brave. It's time to achieve. With your right news shining, a light on the truth. We'll fight for our rights and the dreams of our youth. Let's rally for America, let freedom abound. With a spirit of justice, let's stand our ground. For our Constitution, we'll never back down. In this beautiful nation, we're freedom's bound. So gather round, brothers and sisters alike. With our hearts full of passion, it's time to ignite. We'll dance in the streets with pride in our song, for a future that's bright, where we all belong. Let's rally for America, united we stand. With the promise of liberty, together we'll plan. From the mountains to the prairies, our spirit will soar. For the land of the free, we'll forever explore. Let's rally for America, rebuild what was lost. With faith in our neighbor, we'll pay any cost. From the ashes we rise, with love in our hearts. For a brighter tomorrow, we'll all play our parts. For a brighter tomorrow, we'll all play our parts.
Welcome back to the hashtag Go Right Recap. In this episode, we saw Donald Trump return to Butler, Pennsylvania, undeterred by his near-fatal assassination attempt. We honored the heroism of Corey Compertor, who gave his life protecting his family, and Elon Musk joined Trump on the stage, emphasizing the importance of an election and Trump's resilience under fire. Trump's policy messages resonated strongly with Pennsylvanians, showing a powerful shift in momentum as the state prepares for the next election. Despite security concerns, Trump's commitment to his supporters remains stronger than ever, proving that leadership is defined by perseverance and courage. Then we went over two articles that highlighted the serious failings of the Biden-Harris administration, from border security failures to ineffective disaster relief. But remember, this is our constitutional republic, and we, the people, can make a difference. First, we explored the shocking findings from the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General, exposing how the Biden-Harris administration recklessly allowed illegal aliens to fly without proper identification, bypassing TSA protocols, and this gross negligence has increased national security risks as more than 380 individuals on the terror watch list crossed our borders, with the government failing to track those released into the United States without ID. The use of the CBP One app, allowing thousands to enter the country daily, has further and compounded the security risks, including an alarming case involving Tajik nationals with ISIS ties, with the desire to attack the LGBTQ citizens in Philadelphia. Yeah, the Democrats claim they care about the LGBTQ, but in reality, do they? Despite these facts, the government continues to allow unidentified individuals into the country, hiding the threat to American citizens. Lastly, we discussed the abysmal federal response to the devastation caused by Hurricane Helene. With over 230 confirmed dead and many still missing, millions remain without power and essential services. FEMA and the Biden administration have failed to provide timely aid, with shocking stories of federal red tape preventing private citizens and organizations like SpaceX from delivering help. Meanwhile, Governor Ron DeSantis had to intervene to clear debris in Florida, while rural North Carolina remains especially unserviced. Federal leaders like Kamala Harris and Alejandro Mayorkas and probably Roy Cooper have shown a lack of urgency during this crisis, further demonstrating the federal government's failure to support its citizens in need. Thank you for tuning in to hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin. For a more detailed coverage of these stories and others, visit GoRightNews.com, and you can also find us on Rumble.com, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, X, and other platforms. You want to help us keep fighting for the truth? You can donate via Cash App at $ Peter Boykin, the number 1. And all links can be found on GoRightNews.com and PeterBoykin.com. Until next time, stay informed, stay vigilant, and always go right. Peace, everybody. God bless.
My plan is about saying that when you invest in small businesses, you invest in the middle class, and you strengthen America's economy. Small businesses are part of the backbone of America's economy.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations. And I plan on making that fair.
But we're dealing with the real world here.
But the real world includes...
How are you going to get this through Congress?
You know, when you talk quietly with a lot of folks in Congress, they know exactly what I'm talking about because their constituents know exactly what I'm talking about. Their constituents are those firefighters and teachers and nurses